Are you someone who feels that I've tried everything, maybe drugs, addiction, alcohol? I've tried to fill this hole in my heart with everything I could, and it still feels empty and still feels that hole. Nothing seems to Nothing seems like it can fill that hole. I've been in that place. I know how it feels. The best way to fill that hole is to know God, is to have a relationship with God. Allah, the one and only God who is worthy of worship as Muslims know it. Allah commands us to know Him, to know Allah, to learn about Him. It increases the trust in Him, the faith in Him. And how else can we trust anybody without knowing Him, without knowing about Him? The the names of Allah, names and attributes of Allah that Allah has revealed in the Quran is the highest form of praise, and human being cannot do justice in praising Allah. Only Allah can do. And when human being praise Allah and know Allah, we find peace in our heart. We find the balance, we find the tranquility in our heart. To Allah, Allah says in the Quran, to Allah belongs the most magnificent and the most perfect names. And Allah asked us to make dua, to call on Him using the names He has revealed to us, and to worship Him through calling on those names. And half of Tawheed, which is oneness of Allah, is knowing about Allah, and other half is worshipping Him and only Him without making any partners. Most blessed of the knowledge is and noble and sacred of the knowledge is the knowledge of who Allah is. It's the knowledge of Allah Himself. Through knowing Allah, we know ourselves. Or when we try to know ourselves, we will find and we'll get to knowing Allah. Most monks and spiritual guides who have left the worldly life and went under a tree and sat there for years, and they have reached this highest level oneness with God, this nirvana, in I think that's in Hinduism and or Buddhism. Yeah. So knowing oneself, through knowing oneself we get to know God, who God is, or through knowing God we get to know who we are. And unless we have that relationship, we know ourselves, or would know who God is, we won't be able to find that inner peace, inner tranquility, that balance that we are looking for, that hole we are trying to fill.